And it is an office. It's not really a library like I want. We have the plans drawn up. We're supposed to be finding money for it so that at some point they're going to build a library here, but money's hard to find, so we're just hoping for it. In the meantime, we're working out of an office, and most of our equipment, our resources are electronic anyway at this point. I saw this coming years ago, so I've kind of, we've had to downsize a lot. My print materials are all in storage. So we're working with, I can get you your resources electronically. You have to let me know what you need. I'll teach you how to search for it. You let me know what you need. And I can email you the articles that you want. Okay? But let's get started on professional writing. All right. You've all been to high school just like I have. You should have already done some form of research paper. I think they call them research paper, whatever. So you should know a little bit of the basics about writing a paper of this style, of this type. You're not going to, it's not fiction. You don't have to come up with beginning characters and all that. This type has to be supported with research, and the research has to be appropriate research. So what we're going to do is talk first a little bit about copyright. If you don't know what copyright is, it's the exclusive right to reproduce, publish, sell, or distribute the matter and form of something such as a literary, musical, or artistic work. If you write a song, you want to get it copyrighted. Otherwise, anybody that wants to can record it and say, hey, I wrote that too. I wrote that. It's not her, it's me. It's not him, it's me. I did it. If you don't have that copyright in hand to prove that you did it, that's why everybody needs to copyright their work, whether it's a literary form, musical, whatever. Copyright is granted through a legal process in which the creator of the resource or the copyright seeker obtains the legal right where they're the only one that can copy the work unless they sign that over to someone else. The copyright law is that one that's in red. I'm not going to read the law to you. It's like so long. Copyright control can be sold, bought, or obtained by a financing entity. In other words, somebody can buy the rights to the copyright of some resource. And that happens all the time in the musical world and in the literary world. You've heard yourself about it in the musical world. All of Elvis Presley's music is owned by the Michael Jackson estate because the rights were sold, and when he was alive, he bought it. Now, I don't know whether his estate has sold any of it off, but that's the way it's done. You have to buy the legal right to copy it. And no one else can copy it if you own those legal rights. Copyright terms can expire. In other words, when something is created, and even if someone buys the copyright, after enough years have passed, that copyright will no longer be valid. Now, it's not just 1 or 2 years. It's like we're talking 50 years or so, maybe even longer. It depends on what the resource is. Okay? There is something called fair use, and that means that a legal doctrine that is copyrighted, or at least parts of it are copyrighted, can be used without the copyright permission of the owner, provided that the use of that is considered to be fair and reasonable, and it does not impair with the financial value of the materials. And it does not keep any profits from going to the person who owns the copyright. It all boils down to money. You've heard that before in your life. As long as you don't impair the copyright owner from getting any of the money that's due to him, then it's possible you can use it in the pretext of fair use. Now, fair use is decided using these 4 principles. First of all, purpose and character of the use of the copyrighted work. Why was it created in the first place? For enjoyment, for purpose of doing research, what if the courts will think about what is the purpose of the resource? What is the nature of it, of whatever is copyrighted? How much of the copyrighted work is used by the person who is claiming fair use, by the user, not the owner, but are you using just a little part of that, or are you using the entire thing? Because that will affect the court's decision. Effectively use on, again, the market or the value. In other words, if you're impairing them from getting money that they would get from their ownership of that, then the courts will take that into consideration. Now, the way to avoid this is to simply ask permission of the copyright holder to use the work in whole or in part. You write the creator, you get written permission, and you better keep that written permission in your files for the rest of your life. Because at any given point, you may be asked to prove that yes, you did get permission from the creator to use their material. Okay, you send a letter and you keep it. Don't wait until the last minute to seek permission. If you wait, it may take months, even up to a year, for that creator to get back to you. So if you know of something you need to use, you better immediately send off for it, and you may have to send more than once. Okay? Now, let's talk a little bit about plagiarism. This is the definition in the Merriam-Webster dictionary. Plagiarism is the act of using another person's words or ideas without giving credit to that person. The act of plagiarizing something. Okay? The nursing and healthcare profession and plagiarism, it's very important that in any profession, plagiarism does not happen. But I think the nursing and healthcare professions are especially needful of it because of the high moral, ethical values that you present, that profession presents to the public. You are in one of the most highly revered professions of all time. Okay? Now, I'm an educator from way back, and hey, that's up there on the ladder. But I put healthcare workers above educators because you are in the position of people have to trust you in order for you to do your job effectively. They are placing their trust in you. They are trusting that you're honest and ethical, and that you will follow all the guidelines that are paramount to your profession in whatever unit or whatever you're dealing with. They trust you with their lives. They trust you with their family's lives. So that is why, in my opinion, it's especially important that you guys are aware of the need for being totally honest in everything that you put forth. Otherwise, you're placing a black mark against your profession, and you don't want to do that. You don't want to be responsible. All right, plagiarizing could also lead to other deceptions. It's just like, if a kid, takes something that they shouldn't take and they get away with it, you think they're going to quit? Chances are they might try it again. It's the same way with adults. If somebody plagiarizes something and, they might get away with it at that time, but that person could think, well, I got away with it. Let me, they're on and doing their thesis or their doctoral presentation, and they plagiarize that. It's going to catch up. If they get away with it when they're in lower schools, they might try it again and again, and it will. How many times lately have you heard about, well, who was it that I'm not political, not opening that door, but I'm going to say, who was it that Trump nominated to be somebody high up in his cabinet, and she had to decline because she's now been touted to have plagiarized some of her work. A couple of years ago, the superintendent of the Little Rock schools it's gonna catch up with you. So you don't want to go there. You don't want to ruin your career. You guys are working hard. And you're gonna work harder, believe me. You have to start spending. Believe me. But don't jeopardize that. You know, one little mistake like using plagiarism and you're out. You can't take that chance. It is not worth it. Okay. Not doing the work that you were supposed to do could lead to the inability of passing a licensure exam. If you finish all of your courses and your clinicals, you will be expected to pass an exam in order to be licensed to be a nurse. If you haven't done all the work, done all the research, done all the studying that you needed to do, you depended on just copying and pasting somebody else's work, you know, you might not have read it really good, you didn't absorb it, then you could possibly affect the grade on your licensure exam where you're not going to be able to pass it because you didn't actually take the time to learn the material that you would have had you done what you were supposed to do. Your relationship with peers can be damaged because of lack of trust and in the integrity, in your integrity. In other words, you know, other people are going to know when you sit beside them or you're sitting in the canteen and talking and you let something slip that you copied and pasted something and didn't give them credit. They're gonna know, well, that's plagiarizing, that's cheating, that's not right. And some people, like me and other people, would say, wait a minute, is this someone I really need to be associated with? Do I really want everybody seeing me knowing that I'm associating with someone that is a known, I just say cheater because it is cheating. Okay? So it will affect your integrity with your friends, your peers, as well as the faculty. And in some cases, if you're high enough, you know, the entire world could be affected if they find out you plagiarized. Would I want to be taken care of? Now, this is the question I would ask myself if I were you. When that gets to that point, the night before it's due, and you think, I've got to have one more sword, you know, what can I do? This is what I would ask myself. Would I want to be taken care of by someone who cheated to get through school? Okay? Now, I know that I'm going to be laying over in that hospital bed someday. I've been there plenty of times already. Or I know that my loved ones will be laying over there. And I can tell you that if somebody walks in that's assigned to them to take care of them that I know is a plagiarizer, I'm going to say, stop, deceased, let me talk to your unit manager. That person's not going to touch me or any one of my loved ones. And wouldn't you feel the same way? If you took your child to the hospital for some, God forbid, but if it happened, would you want someone taking care of them that really cheated on doing their work when they were in school? I wouldn't. And I wouldn't expect anyone else to. Okay, so ask yourself that. When you get to that point, it's not worth it. All right, you do have an honor code, a student honor code that we go by here, and I'm sure it's been read to you, but in case it hasn't, I'm here to do it again, just the parts that apply to us as far as plagiarism goes. The HCLR recognizes that education of healthcare professionals must take place in an atmosphere that leads to professionalism and competence in the chosen field. The honor code has been incorporated into the overall educational experience and focuses on our values of service, honesty, respect, stewardship, and performance. Baptist Health, the people, if you get out and get a job at Baptist Health, that's part of our values of service that we provide. If you're an employee of Baptist Health, you go by those 5 values of service. And I will guarantee you that any place you go to work is going to have some type of values of service that you are expected to adhere to. Students are expected to abide by the honor code, applying it to all aspects of student life. Documented and confirmed evidence of a student's failure to abide by the student Student Honor Code will result in appropriate corrective action. This is the Honor Code. You're supposed to be truthful and honest, submitting written assignments which contain and reflect independent effort, not somebody else's, safeguarding property of others, respecting the rights of others, reporting violations of the Student Honor Code. If you know somebody has not abided by it, then you can report it. I'm not asking you to be a stoolie. I'm just saying you can report it anonymously. But at some point, let us know so we can stop that from happening, because it affects how people see Baptist Health College in Little if we don't stop things like that. Acknowledging work or the ideas of others, you're expected to do that. Behaving according to the Baptist Health Code of Ethical Conduct, protecting patients and the public at large, and doing your own work for courses, not cheating on exams or tests. You know that. I mean, common sense tells you that. Any questions on the Honor Code? Okay. Now, as with any crime, and plagiarism is a crime, there can be a punishment for it. If it happens in an academic institution such as Baptist Health College, the zero tolerance is spelled out in the handbook. I just read that part to you. I'm just telling you, if you plagiarize, it will not be tolerated at Baptist Health. Every higher education school, lower education, whatever, abides by that. They have their own honor code and they will not tolerate that type of behavior. Academic standards are often stricter than copyright laws, okay? If you plagiarize, you can be held to account stricter punishment than with copyright laws. Academic plagiarism can result in several things. Of course, you can fail an assignment if you plagiarized on it. You can fail that entire class. You can be dismissed from your program, your nursing program, and you can also, or be dismissed from Baptist Health College, from your institution. Any one of those, and that would be dependent upon the committee that sees over it. There is a legal punishment for crimes, the crime of plagiarism that would occur, and it's not the schools seeing about it, it's the public. Somebody has found out that somebody has plagiarized their material, they're going to call some authorities, and you're going to have to answer to that. If you're found guilty, if it's a misdemeanor, you can face a fine from anywhere from $100 to $50,000 or up to 1 year in jail. If it's a felony, depending on how serious it is, you could be fined anywhere from $2,500 to $250,000, and you could face up to 10 years in jail. So it's serious. Don't do it. I mean, why would you open yourself up to that? It's not worth it. Are you getting tired of me saying it's not worth it? When you realize it's not worth it, you're going to pass this class, okay? I mean, my class, not Miss Lance. They don't take anything of hers away. All right, there are no excuses for plagiarism. There are simply no excuses. You can still be found guilty in a court of law of plagiarism, even if nobody had ever done a class on plagiarism for you. You will still be found guilty. There's no excuse. Some people claim the good faith defense, and they're talking about fair use when they do that. It may lessen the punishment, but if they still find that you did plagiarize, you're not going to be exonerated completely. You're still going to have to face some consequences, okay? So don't depend on fair use to protect you 100%. Proper citation, properly citing the material that you use in your research takes away all that. It's as simple as that. Cite your resources properly. Okay? Easy. Easy fix for a big problem. Now, some things are considered common knowledge, and some people want to claim common knowledge when they use it, but this is how you would check and see if something is really falling under the umbrella of common knowledge. Material is considered to be common knowledge if that same information can be found undocumented in 5 or more credible sources. Okay? Now, for instance, this is a very elementary example, but if you made the statement in your paper that George Washington was the first president of the United States, can't you go out there and find that statement in more than 5 or more undocumented resources? That's common knowledge. Okay, that's an elementary example, but that's what you need to think about when you're thinking about, do I have to cite this? Can I put this in my paper and not cite it if you're talking about a fact? Okay? Give credit where credit is due. If you don't know if it's common knowledge, if there's a question in your mind, go ahead and cite it. You're not going to get in trouble for citing too much. You might get in trouble for not citing enough. See what I'm saying? Now, always remember to cite. And these are some of the things that you have to cite if they're not common knowledge. Anything that's in print, book, magazine, journal, whatever, cite it. Electronic resources. If you get something off the internet, you have to cite it. How do you cite it? You're going to go to your APA resource and you're going to look it up and see, because your APA will have all of the information for how to cite any type of these resources. You don't have an APA manual? That's okay, because I put on the back of your test a lot of websites that will help you find ways to look up styles, look up how to cite material. Keep that for that purpose. You have to cite web pages. If you're taking, again, it's an electronic source, but if you're taking something off a web page, how many of us go to the internet and we get on our web page and we look at it and we take something off of it? You don't even go down to the very bottom to look at that small print. But that's where you're going to find your information about what to use in the citation. Who published the website? When was it published? Who owns it? That type of thing. You've got to read the small print. And again, your resources will tell you what all to put in those citations. Even if you use a picture from the internet or from the web, you need to cite it. Now this one is broken every day, millions of times a day, I will tell you. Because people will copy a picture from the web and send it and send it and send it and send it, and they will never give credit to where that picture came from. If they're asked about it, they say, well, I got it off Google Images. It doesn't matter. You still got to say where you got it from. Give them credit, okay? Simple as that. If your instructor is standing up here giving you a lecture and you want to use something that he or she said in your paper, you've got to cite it. And again, your APA will tell you, your resource will tell you how to cite it. But you've got to cite it. And I mean, we're not going to be stupid enough that we don't cite something that our instructor said, because who's going to grade your paper? Your instructor. So cite it. Simple as that. I don't know that you have to deal with discussion boards as much as other colleges, but this is like, I don't know, does Moodle have a chat part to it where you can chat with your other students on it? In some colleges, they use, instead of Moodle, they use Blackboard, or there's any number of other sources. But they have a chat component that, and also they have a discussion board that the instructor asks them to post their discussion of whatever post their discussion so that everyone else in the class can read their ideas that they put up. And it counts as a grade. But also, if you take what someone else put on their discussion board, you need, and you put it in your paper, you need to cite that. There are ways to cite that, and so you would be expected to go and cite their discussion board properly, okay? And I say that because I don't expect you to stop your education here. You're getting your, what is this, RN's degree when you leave here, your associate's degree? Yeah, ASN. At some point, chances are you're going to want to go and complete it and get your BSN. And then even beyond that, you may want to go and get your master's or your, after that, your doctorate. So as you get into those higher degrees, you'll run into things like discussion boards and lectures and things, and you've got to remember to cite all of that if you use it in your paper. Now these are the types of plagiarism that can happen, and this is where the sources are just simply not cited. Turning in a complete work and claiming credit. In other words, if you turn in a work and you don't cite anything, that's a big red flag. I can tell your instructor will know immediately. In other words, you're claiming credit for every word or every idea that's written in that paper. Copying major portions of another text, you don't change anything about it, and you don't cite it. Wrong. Copying from several different sources, combining the sections to work in one paper, and you don't cite it. It's wrong. Changing only a few keywords and phrases, but you're, for the most part, retaining that original content. That's wrong. If you cite something without changing it, it's wrong. If you cite something and you do change it even a little bit, but you don't change it enough, you don't cite it at all, you use it, it's wrong. Paraphrasing most of the paper from other works. Now, paraphrasing is a good thing. You are expected to do that because you can't cite, you can't direct quote everything that you use. So you are expected to paraphrase, but you can't just paraphrase and not give credit to where you got that information from. You simply got to do that. Borrowing from your own work that you did in another class last year or whatever violates the policies of most institutions. That's called plagiarizing yourself, and that is not allowed. Okay? Most people don't realize that, but you can't just turn in a paper from a class you did before. You've got to create another text. You can't just use your past work. Now this is when you can plagiarize. This is when plagiarism takes place, when the sources are cited. You mention the author's name for the source, but you don't use the citation at the end. In other words, you might put in your paper, George Washington said in his speech, but you don't give where you got that. You don't give the citation in your ending reference. When you give inaccurate information regarding the source, in other words, you might not put the right page number, you might not put, you might spell the author's name wrong. That counts as plagiarism. You can't do that. You've got to cite properly. That's why we say the word properly so much. The proper citation of the source is there, but you quoted them directly and you did not use the quotation marks. If you're going to put it word for word, you've got to use the quotation marks. The proper citations, paraphrasing, and quotation marks are used correctly. The entire paper is paraphrased or quoted, and there are no original thoughts of your own. Now, that's what gets a lot of people to where they don't understand. Okay? You've got to put your sources in there, and yes, you can direct quote them, and yes, you can paraphrase them, but you will also, your instructor also wants to hear your thoughts on it. What is your opinion about this? Okay? And that's what throws a lot of people off. I know when I was going through school, and I'm talking, you know, high school and my bachelor's and all, years ago, we won't say how long ago, I thought, oh, you're not supposed to put yourself in your paper. That's a big, but it's okay. As long as you put it as, you know, in my opinion, and you express your opinion. Your instructor wants that, okay? And then the last one, proper quotes and sources for some material, paraphrase other material without credit given. In other words, they only did half of your citations. They only cited the proper quotes and they didn't cite your paraphrase. All right, here are some examples of paraphrasing, and I start with giving you the original passage. I'm going to let you take it. Can you all see it? Take a minute and just read it. It's from a long time ago. Elaine Tyler May wrote Myths and Realities of the American Family, and you can tell from the dating of it that it's not currently when it's written, but it is still true today. So, in using this as our original research, we're going to look at some ideas where someone may have used it as a citation, but we'll see if they did it properly or not, okay? Here's version A. Since women's wages often continue to reflect the mistaken notion that men are the main wage earners in the family, single mothers rarely make enough to support themselves and their children very well. Also, because work is still based on the assumption that mothers stay home with children, facilities for the child care remain woefully inadequate in the United States. What do you think about that? What did she do wrong? Do what?
Paraphrase.
They paraphrased, and I said she, it could have been a he. They paraphrased, but they didn't what? They didn't cite. Is it okay that they didn't use any direct quotes? I mean, you don't have to use direct quotes, but whatever way you use it, whether it's a direct quote or a paraphrase, you've got to cite it, okay? This, even though they paraphrased it, what do you think about their paraphrase? Did they do a good job? Why? Too similar, exactly. They use, I mean, it might as well be almost word for word, almost directly quoted. The words that they used, they didn't change around that much. This is where a thesaurus comes in handy. If you want to change a word to something else, get your thesaurus out and see if you can find a word that you could use that would mean the same thing. All right. Version A is plagiarism. There's too much direct borrowing in the sentence structure and wording. The writer changes some words and even drops a phrase and adds some new language, but overall, you would think that May's work. Even with a citation, the writer is still plagiarizing because the lack of quotation marks indicates that this version is a paraphrase and should be in the writer's own language, not in May's language. All right, here's version B. Oh, I see some direct quotes. And I see some page numbers. This is looking better. And, okay. All right, what do you think? Everybody talking once. Huh? She did cite the author here, but she didn't, well, she did here, so that would count, that would be okay. But it's not, still considered plagiarism, let's see why. The writer now cites May, so we're closer to telling the truth about her text relationship to the source, but this is still borrowing too much language from May's text. In other words, she needs to use more of her own language.
So what do you do if you and an author have the same idea and want to explain or tell the same thing, but they already said what you would have said initially, but have to change up a couple words?
Well, what you need to do is say it in a way that is in your language. I mean, like the instructors here can read something and tell whether it's written by someone who has done years of research or what. Say it in a way you would say it, trying to explain it to the person next to you. Write it, and then use your quotes and whatnot to support it. Make sure if you use their ideas, support it. Or, and I'm going to show you a good example of this later, you'll see where you use their quotes, you supported them correctly, but you also give your opinion about it. Okay? And your opinion is what they want to hear. And so there are ways to let your instructor know, in my opinion. Okay? So the deal is, if it's something that, usually in a paper, a professional paper, you're going to start out with your sentence at the beginning with your statement of hypotheses or whatever. And then you're going to start supporting it with all of this. And then you're going to wind up with your conclusion, and your conclusion may be where you conclude. Yes? Now, I'm talking to you from my opinion. I will not say that you can do it here and your instructor is going to allow it. What I would say to you is go to your instructor with your idea and say, do you think it's acceptable if I start this with a direct quote or not? I think usually it's enough to go ahead and write your topic sentence, and then you can put the direct quote in the first paragraph, quote it next or whatever. But I think you need to start out with something that lets the reader know this is what this paper is about. Okay? And you don't have to do it in a song and dance routine. Just, make the statement of this is what this paper, this is the topic of this paper. Don't write this is the topic of this paper. But make a statement of it. And then the next sentence you can go into your direct quote or your whatever, as long as you cite it properly. Okay? Because you're going to want to start off giving your support. Okay, any other questions? All right. Did we go over this one? All right, here's version C. By and large, our economies still operate on the mistaken notion that men are the main breadwinners in the family. Thus, women continue to earn lower wages than men. This means, in effect, that many single mothers cannot earn a decent living. Furthermore, adequate daycare is not available in the United States because of the mistaken assumption that mothers remain at home with their children. All right, that sounds pretty good. But what's wrong with it? There's no citations at all, is there? And I know that some of those ideas were taken from some source, even though this person paraphrased it and did a pretty good job paraphrasing it. They didn't use any indication of where their material came from. So I just told the answer, yes, it's plagiarism. This version shows good paraphrasing of wording and sentence structure, but May's original ideas are not acknowledged. And again, that's the key to not have plagiarism. All you have to do is acknowledge where the original came from. Okay? When in doubt, cite. Some of May's points are common knowledge, such as women earn less than men, many single mothers live in poverty. You can go to umpteen sources and find that. So that's common knowledge. specific point and an original point in her original conception of this idea is not acknowledged. So you got this, or this person got this idea from May's writing. This person needs to acknowledge that as a source. See what I'm talking about? Even if they do a good job paraphrasing, they still need to reference it as I first got this idea, this came from May's work. Okay, here's version D. I'll give you a big hint. Version D is my last version. Women today still earn less than men, so much less that many single mothers and their children live near or below the poverty line. Elaine Tyler May argues that this situation stems in part from the fiction that men earn the family wage. May further suggests that the American workplace still operates on the assumption that mothers with children stay home to take care for them, stay home to care for them. This assumption, in my opinion, does not have the force it once did. More and more businesses offer in-house daycare facilities. All right. What do you think? Yeah. Good. You were listening. You heard me, didn't you? It's my last version. All right. So it's very good. They have cited it. Now, why is it okay to just put the page number here and not May's name? Why? Because you have used the name, they have used the name somewhere up here, okay? And here. The writer makes use of the common knowledge in May's work, but acknowledges May's original conclusion and does not try to pass it off as his or her own. The quotation is properly cited, as is a later paraphrase of another of May's ideas. So it's okay. It's not considered plagiarism. And the key, look right here. What did I say? This assumption, in my opinion, does not have the force it once did. Okay? That's what I'm talking about, putting yourself in your paper. It's okay to do that. That's what your instructor wants. Okay? Put your, whether you think it's right or wrong, whatever. It's okay to do that. Now, do you have to come out with that at the beginning? No. You're better to go ahead and write your like right here is what this paper is about, what this paragraph is about, your topic sentence, in other words. Here's their supporting evidence, and then here is where they've injected themselves into it. See what I mean? It's not like you have to write a whole paragraph with your ideas. I'm not saying that. I don't think your instructor's going to say that. But they want the paper to be some of you, not just supporting evidence. All right. Here's some ways to avoid plagiarism. Now, these go back to good study skills, and you should have learned that years ago. I was teaching elementary good study skills. All right, learn and practice the good research skills. Use all the research tools that you have available to you, not just the internet. Now, this next one is the one that I absolutely go berserk about. Don't just Google it, okay? I hear so many times people saying, I found it on Google. Google is what we call a meta database, okay? Meta, meaning it's from everything, good and bad. We want medical databases. Yes, Google is coming out with a medical component, but don't trust it yet. It's not been proven. Okay? Go to your medical databases, your medical resources. Don't just Google something and claim it as your best resource. Just because you found it on Google doesn't mean it's true. And you know that. Don't just Google something. And going right along with that is don't just copy and paste something. You would be surprised at how many people want to just copy and paste. You might be surprised at how many people are sitting in jail and paid thousands of dollars in fines because they just copied and pasted. You can't do that. That's plagiarizing. If you use someone else's library, and this one would be nice if we had a library. But make use of Maggie and I. We are sitting in that office. If you don't know how to do something, come by and let us work with you. Am I going to write your paper? No. I went to school enough. Am I going to help you understand what to do? Yes. I have degrees. Maggie has degrees. We will help you. Okay? Make use of us. We want to help. Most especially, we want to help you find your resources. And I'll talk a little bit about that at the end. Allow yourself enough time for researching, reading, note-taking, outlining, writing, citing, and proofreading. All of those are the research skills. If you have been given the assignment today, start tonight on it. Okay? Do I mean you have to go to the library tonight? No. I'm just saying, don't wait till the night before. I can't tell you how many times people have come in our office and said, I need an article and I've got to have it in 30 minutes. I hate it, but I have to tell them, I'm sorry. I have to order that from another library and I can't get it in 30 minutes. Start on getting your act together the minute you get your assignment, and then come and work with us. Give us plenty of time. If I have to order an article for you, it may take it a week to get here. So don't just wait until the night before or even 2 days. I'm pleading with you to not wait. All right, when you're using resources, consider using, like I said, don't just Google it. Use the domains, the websites that end in edu, gov, mil, or org. Okay, those are the websites that have more trustworthy material. Any questions on that? All right. Use electronic resources that give you this information, because you have to cite it. You need to be able to find the author's name and title or their position. You need to be able to find whom that author is affiliated with as an organization. Most of the time what you're going to be working with are doctors who are affiliated either with a hospital or with a teaching university, and you should be able to find that somewhere in that material. The date of the page of the current version, that's going to be found usually at the bottom, but that's something we can show you. The authors and or organization's contact information. Not that you have to contact them, but you should be able to. Usually in a medical journal, the author information will give their affiliation, and somewhere in that journal article, usually maybe at the end or it may be on the side, they will give you an email address or some other way to contact them. Okay? The CARS test is one you can use for quality. CARS stands for credibility, accuracy, reasonableness, and support. All right. Credibility, you've got to be able to cite the author, source, and sponsoring organization, and it's clearly named. If you can't find it, don't use that source. Accuracy, date of the document, and any revisions that have been made. There's no bias in the language of the document. When people are writing in a professional journal, especially the medical, they have to, at some point in that article, tell if there's any conflict of interest. Sometimes it's a paragraph at the end of the article, sometimes it's written again up there by the author information or over on the site. But if there's a conflict of interest, then you might want to rethink using that article. Because they might be a doctor who's affiliated with they work for a company that creates or makes some type of medical device. Well, of course they're going to be biased in their writing for that. So you need to be careful about that. Reasonableness means the argument is fair, the writer does not show the conflict of interest, and there's no advertising. In other words, in that article, if they're talking about a particular device, they're not saying, you know, contact so-and-so to get pricing on this, whatever. Support. The sources should provide Documentation of sources such as a bibliography, the reference section at the end, you're expected to do it. They should have it in their article too. And the source can be corroborated by 2 other sources. Now, when you're citing, here's your APA website, and again, I think I put it on the back of your test. Everything here is done in APA, so you have to follow that. It's not my favorite, believe me, but it's what we have to use, so you need to do that. You need to go to the website if you don't have the current manual. All major universities have online citation helps on their website. The one that I recommend is Duke, the OWL at, not Duke, Purdue, the OWL at Purdue, Duke, you name it, the top 10, Big 10 universities. All of the big universities have some form of variety of help on their main website. You just need to go there and see what you can find. These sites also will have something about plagiarism. If you're not sure about it, it might give you a refresher course and just read over it to see, can you do this or not. Now, just as you have to cite references, I do too when I use references, and this is what I've done. These are my references continue. Now, here we go. Ready to check your test. All right, using something found on the internet for a class assignment is always okay. False. False. It is not okay just because you found it. Giving an incorrect reference for information I use is plagiarism. That's true. Incorrect. I don't care if you transpose numbers into page numbers. It can still be considered plagiarism because you've not cited it properly. So the key to that, people, is to proofread. That's a lost art these days. People don't proofread. How many times have you read an article and something's misspelled or whatever? Proofread your own work. Get someone else to proofread. That kind of thing. If I download something from the internet and change a few words or phrases, I can use that information as my own for a class assignment. Oh, that's a devil. It is impossible for someone else to find something that I have taken from the internet and used as my own work. That's false. Just as, I tell kids this all the time, just as easy as you just Googled it and found it and copied and pasted it, all your instructor has to do is, if they are in doubt about a particular section of your paper, Google, hit search, what do you think comes up? That place where you got it from. So it's not worth it. Don't take a chance. All you have to do, when in doubt, cite. Okay, any information that is available in electronic form is free for me to use in any way I desire. False. You cannot. You've got to make sure that you either have the copyright permission or that you cite it. Copyright laws do not apply to information found on the internet. That's false. You can't do that. They do apply in every situation. It is very easy for someone to search on the internet to find not only the source for an entire paper or article, but even to find sentences or paraphrase sentences. That's very true. It's very easy to do. Is it morally correct or ethically correct? No, don't do it. It is very easy to find papers on the internet and use them as my own. Oh my goodness, yes. You can pay umpteen June the money and someone will write your paper for you. Is it worth it? No, because they're probably writing that same paper for someone else. And what's going to happen? Your instructor can just Google it and find that paper too. So don't do that. That's not worth it. You don't need to pay. You've got your own brain use. I do not have to cite the source of numerical data or graphs because it's common knowledge. That's false. Numerical data or graphs have to be cited, just like images have to be cited. And your APA resource will tell you how to cite them. If I am found guilty of academic dishonesty, it could mean suspension or dismissal from school. Very true. Don't want to take that chance. You're in a wonderful career. need, and you go click on it, and it says, you know, for a mere $85, you can get this. Don't pay for any article. Okay, I do not want to hear of any student at this school paying an article. Nothing makes me angry than to know you put out that dozen of bucks for something I could have gotten. What you need to do is write down the citation for the article, or just the name of the article, the author's name, the PubMed number, or whatever. Email it to me, call it in with me, drop it by my office, give me your email address. I will get it for you and email it back. We have a lot of access to journals and books. We also belong to two different interlibrary